Hey folks, welcome. Here we discuss real stories by real people. Today we have the story of a man who finds out his fiancée has a husband and a child. Let's see how it goes. Story 1. My girlfriend has been acting super effing suspicious for the last couple of weeks, ever since I proposed to her. She seemed really excited when I proposed and happy while we were together. But recently, I don't know, it's like she's trying to hide something. I honestly think she might be cheating, and I don't know if I'm being paranoid or if there's something there. So, we've been dating for 3 years at this point. We kinda bummed around as friends with benefits for a few months before I started taking her out on dates and doing little things together. So far, it's been a pretty good deal. We've never really had any arguments, let alone fights with each other. We're really compatible, our friend groups all say that the other is a keeper, and I thought she was the one, so I set up a proposal. My girlfriend really likes ice skating and the snowy mountains. When I thought about proposing, I was trying to find a spot where I could, and found this beautiful outdoor ice skating rink in Colorado. I told her we should take a vacation and suggested Colorado since that's where her family's from. We rented an Airbnb for a week, took in the sights, and did our touristy things. On the 6th day, I got into contact with a wedding photographer who I paid to be there when I knelt down. I took her to the ice rink I found, and even though I took some falls, I had a ton of fun. I took a fake fall and pretended to have some trouble standing up before popping the question right there. She said yes, and we got some beautiful pictures of us together with the mountains in the background. So, after all that, now I think she's cheating. Let me explain and see if I'm just losing it. She started doing this thing where she looks for wedding dresses and other things like that for herself and her bridesmaids. That's normal, I think, but the thing is that she's gone for like hours and never lets me know what happens when she goes. She just wants to keep it a secret. So it's like she'll head out for a couple of hours, and I'll ask her what she's been up to today, and she'll just say that she's getting ready for the wedding, and she won't tell me. I've also noticed that she'll sometimes be on the phone with someone for the wedding for hours on end. This is another secret that she's keeping for the wedding. I don't even know who this could be. She'll talk to this person on the phone for like a couple of hours, and if I'm in the room, she'll get up and walk away while she talks to this person. She also keeps her voice low, so there's like nothing I can pick up from the conversation. Finally, and this is the most important one, and the one that I really can't describe without sounding crazy, something just feels off about her. Before I proposed, I always got the sense that I could trust her with anything I needed, that we had no secrets from each other, and that we loved each other. But now that we're planning the wedding, there's just this uncomfortable tension from her. Like, am I the one who is seeming crazy? I don't think that I've done anything wrong. I've tried to be accommodating and do everything in my power to make things right, both in the relationship and setting up the wedding. Is she just stressed? What should I do? Update. Update to this post. My fiance's mom took me aside for a really weird conversation. Coming back to this post with an update. Things haven't really improved since I last posted this. I've tried to have a conversation with her about how she's been acting and if there was anything that I can do to make her feel better. But she just gave me some non-answers and dodged what was really bothering her. I've tried to do everything to get her to just talk to me to no avail. Well, I think she talked to her mom about what's been going on because I got a phone call from her who asked me to have lunch just with her. So I did. She's a lovely woman, but she clearly just wanted to talk about her daughter. I think she knew how worried I was. We started chatting for a while, and she told me that her daughter was under a lot of stress lately and to just be patient with her. I told her of course, but I just wanted to know what was going on so I can help or at least be mindful of ways that I can ease the stress. Then she told me that the best thing I can do is be forgiving. Her daughter has made some big mistakes in her life, and in order to help her, I have to forgive her. Then she said that she won't say anything else unless my fiancé gives the okay. Her parents are immigrants from Cuba, and they have a really thick accent. So maybe I misunderstood some aspect of that, but that sounds really bad, right? I don't know what that could be really, but I don't think it'll be good. Update 2. As it turns out, the woman that I trusted enough to ask to marry and be together for the rest of our lives has been lying to me about her life for the entire time that I've known her. From day one, she's been living a lie and dragged me into it. What do I mean by that? Well, when I first met her and asked if she was single, she said yes. That was a lie. My girlfriend was not single. She was married with a child. That's right. It turns out that she was in fact married and had a child with her husband that she kept from me for years. When I proposed, she abandoned them and was actively trying to get her husband to annul the marriage so she could marry me instead. She tried to present this to me as something good for me, like I was such a catch that I could completely ruin someone else's marriage and a child's relationship to their mother. I broke off the engagement and completely cut her off. It's one thing to cheat, and I can forgive that to some degree. But to have a husband and a baby on the side? No, not happening. Last update. Actual final update this time. My ex and her mother both tried to get into contact with me when I canceled the wedding. Both of them tried this completely ridiculous spiel on me, where she just needed a fresh start and thought I was the one. When I asked why she never told me she had a husband and a son and why she never tried to divorce her husband, she just told me she wasn't perfect. Like, yeah, no shit. She didn't even try to get divorced, she just straight up left them. I told her and her mother both to go figure out their old relationship and make it work, because nothing they could ever say would get me back on board. Your ex lied to you from the start. There's no coming back from that. She could have been honest from the beginning and told you about her husband and child. Then it would have been up to you to determine if you wanted to be with her or not. But instead she decided to lie, and she even abandoned her family after you proposed to her. Sure, maybe she deserves a second chance, but building her second chance on lies would only make it fall apart. And it has fallen apart. You're right for not wanting anything to do with her anymore. I believe you deserve more than a liar and a cheater because she was essentially cheating on her husband with you. Story 2. My girlfriend is 29, I'm 28. We've struggled with basic communication for a long time because of a poor foundation of communication. When we first got together, we both admitted we weren't great communicators and struggled expressing not so positive feelings to our SO in the past. And both believe some of our past relationships ended because of it. So we began this relationship with an agreement to amend that and help each other do better. Thing is, I don't think we knew the tools to actually carry out that plan. We had done better communicating certain things. I know I've certainly communicated way better with her than I have with any other SO, but I've always had this feeling it could be better. Sometime in the last year and a half or so, what progress it seemed like we made with it seemed to start regressing. And I had this ever-growing feeling that she was holding back. Not hiding anything, but just not being as open as she could be. I had no tangible evidence, it was just a gut feeling. Now, I believe everyone needs friends they can talk to and get perspective. But with us, mostly her, the problem has been doing that venting and getting those perspectives, and remaining silent about it to each other. Eventually, my paranoia and curiosity got the better of me, and I violated some trust and looked at her phone. I was hoping to either find a conversation with one of her friends in which she vented about something, validating my feeling that she was venting about our problems and not communicating with me, or hoping to find nothing and chalk it up to me just being paranoid. What I found shook my entire foundation and exceeded any expectation of what I would find. She had not only been texting this guy expressing all frustration she had with me in every manner of our relationship. Sexual, emotional, chores, interests, worldviews, everything. But being very open to one another about sexual desires. To the point that they were describing sexual fantasies, role-playing those sexual fantasies with one another, and sending lewd photos to accompany all of it. I was shaken and heartbroken that this was even happening, but an extra slap in the face that she's never been comfortable talking about sex with me. Barely has told me what position she likes, we just do it. And though I've been barking up that tree for 4 years, I've never received so much as an exposed bra strap in any pictures, let alone full nudes which she had been sending to this guy on the regular. Background on the guy. My girlfriend went through a stint about 10 plus years ago where she met people online. Nothing romantic, and a few are good friends of hers to this day. She met this guy in that manner, and to my knowledge he lives over 1,000 miles away and they've never met in real life. She had an established friendship with him long before she ever met me. Over the years, girlfriend has told me he's a confidant, and through her adulthood he's been a stable male perspective when she needs it. and someone who will give her an honest opinion. That's all I've known about him up to that point. Through this experience, I've learned that he's very open about BDSM and is an admitted dominant who's open to her about having other pets his own SO doesn't know about. He's been viewing her as one of these pets and even used that word as one of his many terms of endearment for her. Only thing I can give him a sliver of credit for is that anytime she vented to him about one of our issues, after giving his BS advice, he would tell her, "You should talk to him about this." I don't give him a whole lot of credit there because then he would proceed to be her outlet and act out sexual fantasies and exchange pictures with her. Kind of ironic he played himself off as listening to her to help her in this relationship, and wound up being a key factor in sabotaging it. The fallout. We broke up for a day, and after thinking about it, I realized that as furious and heartbroken as I was, I still loved her. In fact, I hated that I still loved her. It's confusing, it's irrational, but I still did. And when I told her I wanted to stay together and try to work this out, it was on the premise that I love you more than I hate what you did. After an extremely painful and emotional week, I told her that I want to work through it. I want to take this as an opportunity to figure out what's been wrong, make sense of why it all happened, be fully open and honest about it, and use this not as something that breaks us down, but as a horrible catalyst that ultimately rebuilds and improves our relationship. We agreed to go to counseling together and have been doing it for 5 months. All along the way, I've been saying that in order for me to get over it, I need it to make sense, or at least follow the progression of her thoughts and feelings that can explain what led her to make that choice. We've started communicating better about many things we've not been as forthcoming about in the past. The issue now. Being in counseling for 5 months while general communication has improved in our relationship, she's digging her heels in on this topic. Once we started talking candidly about the initial infidelity that started all this, these are some of her explanations. She had no physical sexual attraction to him. He had no physical sexual attraction to her. She's never been comfortable being open about anything in a sexual manner, and he was coaching her and letting her practice it with him so she could get comfortable enough to do it with me. She was never comfortable with any of it and didn't like the way any of it made her feel. She only continued it because she thought even though she didn't initially like it, that it might get better. She didn't get anything out of it, sexual gratification or otherwise. She only did it with him because she saw him as an expert and was easy to distance herself from since he lives far away. No matter how much counseling we do or how much we talk about it, she blows off enacting any of the strategies the counselor suggests, or actively participates in this healing process with me. Anytime we talk and I bring up the topic of discovering underlying feelings, she simply deflects and asks what if there are no feelings there, and insists she's offered everything she can to the topic. She's been asking me this, especially more frequently lately, without even considering the opposite, what if there are feelings there? It's frustrating. I told her that in order for me to hope to move on from this, I need us both to open up and be honest with one another. I've given her advice and tools on what's helped me to think more deeply about things. I've told her to simply just talk to a friend, and she won't. She won't flat out refuse, she'll just sit there and listen and acknowledge what's being said. She just blows it off, phones it in, and hopes this all will just blow over. I don't believe in giving an ultimatum, but I do feel like we're coming to the end of the road here. I've been incredibly patient and hopeful that something will happen and we can really discuss this issue. But her refusal to really commit to this rebuilding and recovery process infuriates me almost as much as her cheating on me. I now have my best friend. I was the best man at his wedding 2 weeks after I uncovered the cheating, who not only has been incredibly adamant about me needing to break up with her for a long time, but also just told me that he and his wife are so frustrated by this whole thing that they don't like the negativity of all of it and refuse to hang out with my girlfriend and me anymore. Though aside from the wedding, we haven't done anything together as couples. The negativity they feel is simply me confiding in him about these issues, and he gets upset about it and vents to his wife. It's been nearly 4.5 years, and I'm still desperate to make this relationship work despite all of this. But how do I get through to her? Is there a way to get through to her? How much longer should I hold on to hope? Does she not realize what she's about to lose if she keeps being this stubborn and hiding from her feelings? Insights would be appreciated. OP. Relationships can get past infidelity, but only if the cheater shows real remorse becomes completely transparent about everything, and works extraordinarily hard at enacting real change. You've given it another 5 months. And from the way it sounds, she's done none of these things. From the sounds of things, both of you would be happier in relationships with other people.